Alright, here we go. This is my first results-based ranking of the 2024 season. Following the Week 6 results, the first two games of Week 7 have already been played. I have not incorporated those. None of the four teams involved were considered really for a spot, so probably doesn't affect much anyway. Just took, a few days to get this out, it being the first one of the season. So let's get into it. Number one actually was really close. Not as you'd expect, probably. Ohio State and Texas. Ohio State and BYU actually were the two teams. BYU, this is a system I run on my computer that is primarily about resume, and no one to this point has a great resume, but BYU has the best resume at this point, and was extremely close to being the number one team in this ranking, but Ohio State, with their wins by at least 25 points in every single game they've played, gets the top spot. And got some more teams. Miami's got some okay wins. Iowa State. Georgia is my top team with a loss. Top 10 teams actually are 9 undefeated teams, and Georgia, whose only loss is a road loss to number 11 Alabama. Pittsburgh at number 6. Pittsburgh's wins haven't been very pretty, but they've gotten the wins. So there they are. Indiana, number 7. Then Indiana and BYU are the top surprise stories of the college football season so far. Well, at least positive surprises, Florida State, maybe, but the other way. Texas, all the way down at number 8. They've just not played a great schedule. The Michigan win, just looking at how Michigan played, the results they have, is not enough to prop them up. Ohio State got criticism for playing 3 cupcakes in the non-conference schedule. Michigan's had the same criticism in years past. Teams that play 4 non-conference games and have a good non-conference game and still have 3 cupcakes in there. And that's what Texas did, except that Michigan non-conference game isn't holding as much water as we thought it would. And the one conference game Texas had is Mississippi State, who's awful. Basically a 4th cupcake. So Michigan is really all they have, and they haven't been good enough to get Texas higher on this list than Indiana, who's had a similar season. Number 9 is Oregon. They've, they've played Boise State. How good is Boise State out of the Mountain West? I don't know. Well, that's their best win so far. Number 10, Penn State. They played tight with Bowling Green. Oregon played tight with Boise State. So if you're not blowing out group of 5 teams, you're not going to be at the top of this list. And then second team with a loss, Alabama at number 11, has a win over number 5 Georgia, but also lost to Vanderbilt. And then Texas A&M at 12 is the top team with a home loss. They lost to number 18 Notre Dame, but also annihilated number 25 Missouri. Rutgers is on there, having a nice season so far. Ole Miss, yeah, lost at home to Kentucky, so they're the second team on here with a home loss. They look pretty good in most of their other games, so 15 SMU, playing well more recently, getting the win over Louisville. And their losses to number 2 BYU. Kansas State, same thing. Lost to BYU. And then Texas Tech, actually, all the way at 17. They're not a team that's gotten much attention, but played rather well. Have some okay wins. Notre Dame has the very nice road win against number 12 Texas A&M, but also lost to Northern Illinois. Number 19 Tennessee looked fairly good against some, Oklahoma, I think, is a decent team. The other teams they played were pretty terrible, and then they lost to Arkansas. Nebraska 20, Colorado 21, Illinois 22. Those were all really close. Illinois beat Nebraska, who beat Colorado. I thought Illinois would be above those teams, at least above Colorado, and going back, trying to figure out what happened, I guess the Kansas win at the beginning of the season wasn't nearly as positive as we thought it was. Kansas has not played well at all, and a ranked team really ought to beat Kansas more easily at home. And then as far as Colorado, level of play really not very high. They're on this ranking because a Baylor defender fell down on a Hail Mary to get the game to overtime. But we've got enough wins to be here. Number 23 is Clemson, crushed by Georgia, crushed some terrible teams. They don't have great wins, but at this point, there aren't 25 teams that really do. And 24 LSU, similar, lost to USC. Close win against South Carolina. It's not a great resume, but someone has to fill out the ranking. Missouri has a win against Boston College, got crushed by Texas A&M. Everyone on here is a undefeated or one-loss team. No two-loss teams at this point. Kentucky was close. Kentucky, they played close with Georgia, and they won at Ole Miss. But the South Carolina game, oof. Getting crushed at home like that. If they just played close in that game, they could be a two-loss ranked team. But they didn't. Also, no group of 5 teams on here currently. Boise State's really close. they'd gotten that win against Oregon, they'd be well inside the top 25. UNLV, if they'd beaten Syracuse, they'd be ranked in here. And Army and Navy are doing well, but just haven't faced the necessary tests so far to make it into the top 25. And that is this week's ranking. It'll look different next week. Number 1, Ohio State goes to number 9, Oregon. Number 14, Ole Miss goes to number 24, LSU. Number 16, Kansas State goes to number 21, Colorado. So that's 3 of my ranked team matchups between 2 of my ranked teams. So big opportunities for the winners of those games to move up. Other teams that could move up with a win: Iowa State goes to West Virginia. Number 8, Texas. Iowa State's number 4, so they could move up a little with a win. Number 8, Texas plays their Red River game at a neutral site against Oklahoma. Big opportunity there to move up. And number 10, Penn State goes to USC. Everyone else who's playing, you'd better not lose or you're dropping. We'll see what happens the rest of this week.